everyone. I'm Elisa and I'm back. So we are talking about the circulatory system and we are delving into the blood. And right now we're in part 7. So we're going to talk more about red blood cell formation, or, at least give it our 10 minutes. So we looked at the structure of erythrocytes, meaning like the red, right, blood cells. And so as we looked, they had like kind of a biconcave shape. So they don't have any organelles in the middle. They don't have a nucleus, no DNA. They're just big bags of carrying hemoglobin around so that we can transport oxygen and then some of our carbon dioxide as well. Um, all right. So erythrocyte production begins with the process of erythropoiesis. So erythropoiesis means like urethra, red, and then poetic means that we are dealing with stem cells at this point, right? And so um, we are going to produce about 1 million red blood cells every second. And the average lifespan is only a couple of months. On a good day, every couple of months, right? And it's kind of interesting also what happens when they get removed from the body, right? And we'll talk about things like the red blood cell graveyard later on. So development takes between 3 to 5 days. So we can make them pretty quick. And the reduction in size, which I'll show you in the next couple of slides, is kind of interesting also. We actually make them very full of protein and we condense it all down, and then we push it all around the outside of the inner tube. And they also increase in cell number. We'll look at the synthesis of hemoglobin, and what's really cool is the ejection or the loss of that nucleus. Okay, so erythrocyte production. So erythrocyte colony forming unit, or the CFU, right? So the CFU just means it's like the first committed cell. Let me kind of show you really quick. So here's the stem cell, right? And so what happens is this stem cell says, you know what? It's time. It's time to choose my job forever. And I'm going to be a red blood cell. Yay! Okay, so you're going to graduate with your degree in red blood cell, and you're going to become a what we call a colony forming unit. And the reason we call it a colony forming unit is because, it makes a ton of new cells, right? So it's going to form that colony. And so that's why it is a colony forming unit, if that makes sense. Let's see if I can use that. Boop. Okay, yeah, good. Okay. All right. So let's see if it'll let me go back. Just want to go backwards. No, no, I guess we're going forwards. Okay. So anyway, so the first thing that happens is we commit, right? So hematopoietic stem cell in blood means that we can turn into many different types of blood cells. And so the colony forming unit is a committed cell, right? It is committed to a cell fate. It's committed, it's chosen its degree program, and it's going to graduate. And it graduates to become a erythroblast. So urethra still means red, and then blast means like newly forming baby cell, like just fresh out of stem cells state blastic cells, right? Still dividing, mitotically active, right? So mitosis is happening, cells are dividing, right? I'm going either way. Right? Mitosis. So that's them divided. Okay. So after they've divided, what happens is they have this big nucleus and they're making lots and lots of proteins. And a lot of those proteins are going to be used in that heme group, right? And so the heme groups, you can imagine them kind of like starting off here. Okay. So the reticulocytes are what happen after we formed enough heme groups, okay? And they get kind of interesting, like they have like these purple looking lines. I know I just drew them in green, like little occlusions on them. And these are the reticulocyte stages when they're going to eject the nucleus. And after that happens, they condense down into what we know as the conventional red blood cells. And these are the grown, mature red blood cells. So that's the stage, right? So we go from stem cell committed to a degree program, we've committed to red blood cells, and then after we've committed, we form that colony, which is why this is a colony forming unit. They're mitotically active, right? They're blastic cells. The reticulocytes are a way they continue the maturation process, just making enough of that protein, especially those heme groups, to eventually eject the nucleus. DNA, what's that? No more. Got rid of that nucleus to form the red mature blood cells, which are just meant to ferry around that oxygen all day and sort of some of the carbon dioxide too. A pretty good amount. So iron, as we looked at earlier, is the C. So like here's like that hemoglobin, right? And here's like the four groups of the clover, and then like it sits in the middle. Here's this like iron, right? Two, maybe two, right? And that's like this royal metal seat, and it's neat because like other organisms actually use things like copper, right? But they use a metal that can be like attractive force for oxygen, right? So, what'll happen is it means that your iron is a nutritional requirement. You have to have enough of it. So you can get iron through meat. You can get a lot of it through especially green leafy plants. Like humans are apes. We're apes. We couldn't be cool, right? You weren't born a tiger or a, I don't know, like bird of prey, you are in the ape category. So that means you're supposed to eat lots of lettuce, right? Like lettuce and salads and stuff. And that's where we've always really gotten a lot of our iron. So that's one of the ways. You lose iron though, because of the fact that it is, iron is positively charged. It's cation. It's gonna get caught up in different things, and it's excreted through urine and feces, and of course, it's bleeding. And so you're gonna lose some of it every day. So you need to have like a consumption and then absorption, meaning a biologically available form. You can't just eat a big lump of iron. It needs to be kind of broken down and broken up, which means, like food based is best, and then vitamins next, and then don't eat a block of like metal iron. That's not going to be biologically available, okay? So dietary iron comes in a couple of ways. So ferric and ferrous, meaning like, what's the charge on the cation? If you do get it in ferric form, right? So it's fine. Your stomach acid is actually going to neutralize that charge just enough so it's absorbable, and that what we like to have it in is the 2 plus cation. And so what we call this like gastroferritin is going to bind and transport it to the small intestine where a lot of that absorption is going to happen. So it's going to be absorbed directly into the blood. It's going to bind to a transport form, a transport called transferritin for transport, right? And it goes to the bone marrow, the liver, and other tissues, but like a lot of it to the bone marrow as well. The reason is because we're going to use it as that iron seat of the hemoglobin, right? Remember hemoglobin. So we're going to put it right in the center of each one of those. It will also go to the muscle for myoglobin as well, and all the cells are going to use it in different ways. But there's that. So it's not exclusively used for making red blood cells. Another interesting one is you can store an amount, right? You can store an amount, and you can bind ferritin using apoferritin. So apo means like lipid, right? So the liver, it's just another awesome thing that the liver does because the liver just makes all the good stuff. Other things that are really important is going to be vitamin B12 and folic acid, folate, really important. So you've seen this in like neural tube development, right? So embryogenesis, if you want like the spinal column to properly close and the brain to properly develop, very required early on. One of the reasons is because it's required for rapid cell division and manufacturing DNA. So those cells have to be made correctly and quickly, and DNA has to be precision manufactured and stored. And so, as fast as red blood cells are manufactured, that's incredibly important also. So, this can also be found dietary, those leafy greens. Like, I don't know about you, but I hate salad and I hate leafy greens. And if I could just exist on corn dogs all day and pizza, I probably would. But, every day I just make sure to eat my leaves is fine. Just throw some ranch on it, you'll be fine. So eat those green, deep greens. Also, vitamin C and copper are really important for iron metabolism. So what happens is they are cofactors, which means the enzymes that kind of like make that hemoglobin tetramer, right? So like that manufacture it and put the iron where it needs to be. Those little Pac-Man-y enzyme proteins that actually do that job, the machines that do that job, like they require vitamin C or copper to turn on, right? And so that's what they're meaning by their cofactors. Okay, so that's a little bit about the manufacture of red blood cells or erythrocytes. And, I'm going to stop it there and we'll move on to part 8, right? Little digestible chunks of video. And so I guess for now, I hope you enjoyed this one and we will see you all in part 8. All right, bye now.